Welcome to the MMHP in the 989, channeling all styles and eras of Michigan music history. Recorded live inside the Rock Legends Hall of Fame in Bay City, Michigan. Featuring Dr. J, Sir Fred, Mr. Mike, and your host, Scott Baker.
Hey, loosen us up. Yeah, right on. Yay. Woo, woo, woo. Rock and roll.
All right.
Detroit.
Here we are, Detroit, Royal Oak.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Michigan Music History Podcast. We're on the road in the Motor City with a Detroit legend, Mr. Tino Gross, who invited us into his own studio for this thing today. So, Tino, thank you so much for inviting us in.
Well, it's my pleasure to have you guys, and I'm honored to be invited to be a part of the Michigan Music History Podcast. This is really cool, man. Thanks for coming.
Oh, yeah. We've had a lot of fun so far, and we expect more of the same here.
Yeah,
we got a little wine. We got a funky place to be in. I mean, wow.
You're in Funky D Studios.
Funky D.
We've played a lot of music down here, and, always get the vibe going. That's our job.
There it is.
Who's recorded in here?
Oh, man. Geez. Well, I'll start from recent and head back,
Sure.
The last record we did here was Johnny B and the Murder Hornets.
You did that here, eh?
We did that right down here. And that's an album called Arc of the Sweeping Sky, and it's on our label, Funky D Records. And at the same time, we did my recent project, The Dumpster Machine, and that album is called GTO, and has a real Motor City theme going through the whole record, so we got Wayne Kramer to play on it with us. And
must have been one of his last recordings.
It was, actually. He was over at the Rust Belt Studios in Royal Oak, a few blocks away, recording for the Alice Cooper Detroit Stories album.
Yeah.
And, produced by Bob Ezrin. Legends, man.
Yes, indeed.
And so he would come over here after recording there, and he'd lay on this very couch you guys are on. He'd take his shoes off and just stretch out and just start, telling me how the day went. And because we became good friends over the years. And he goes, "What are you working on, Tino?" "Oh, I got a couple tracks here, Wayne, for my record." He goes, "Let me hear something." I played him this one track, GTO, and he's had his guitar in his hands in seconds. He said, "Oh, I got to play on that one, man." So he did, and then he's in the video, and, this is a guy that's been a hero to, I'm sure all of us for years. MC5 guitar player, Wayne Kramer. And then, so that record, and then right before that, we did Jimmy Bones and the Snakebit Wanderers, Jimmy's Kid Rock keyboard player. And then before that, we did the last two John Sinclair albums, which also included Wayne Kramer, and Don Was on bass on those. And
did everybody come here and record?
Yeah, they come here. Dave McMurray on sax. We did a Robert Bradley album.
Oh, what one?
It's called Down in the Bend.
Okay.
On Funky D Records.
Oh, man.
It came out fantastic, man. We've done several Howling Diablos records.
Yep.
Horse Cave Trio, a great band that we recorded. Did some punk rock, the Ruiners. Kenny Brown, who is R.L. Burnside's slide player from Mississippi.
Yep.
We got a Kenny Brown album done down here. And I could just keep going, but those are some of the recent ones, and there's more coming. We got some more good stuff coming. So
all out of the Royal Oak basement here.
Yeah, because
this is a really cool tight little studio.
Yeah, thank you. And what happened is the band became kind of like the Wrecking Crew, Like, in other words, we would do a Johnny B album or a Jimmy Bones album, but then those guys would all play on some, John Sinclair's album, and or the Johnny B and the Murder Hornets album would include, people from the Dumpster Machine. And so we kind of had a Wrecking Crew You know, like the way L.A. had those guys with Hal Blaine and Tommy Tedesco. You know, they're on every record from the 60s, you know.
Your own the Detroit wrecking crew.
And so we have our wrecking crew.
Or the Funk Brothers.
Yeah. Like exactly. The Funk Brothers, same thing, you know. And so we just, one thing would lead to the next, you know. We did Little Freddie King's album, blues player out of New Orleans.
Little Freddie King.
Little Freddie King. We did that here. Just so much good stuff. R.L. Burnside. Those
You
records.
did that here?
I remixed them here, yeah.
Did you? Okay.
I went to Mississippi, got the tracks, and then came back here and did the mixing.
Okay.
Yeah, R.L.
Nice.
Burnside, yeah.
I did an interview with him.
Did you really?
Yeah, man. I called him on his house
Nice.
through Fat Possum. I don't remember who their agency was at the time, but
Right.
it was second or third, close to the last record. He was playing with T. Model Ford and Paul Ryan
Yep.
Jones at Magic Stick upstairs.
I was at that show.
And I hung out with those guys that night too. They were because I was covering Fat Possum for a
Yeah.
Bay City Times second on news story at the time.
That is great. Well, you know, after I did the R.L. Burnside records, I did 2 of them, produced them. Fat Possum kept me going, and I did Charles Caldwell's album
Okay.
down there.
Yep.
We did the Nathaniel Mayer album,
Did you?
Detroit Soul Singer.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were just talking about
We
We were
took Nate
talking
down
about
there.
it.
We did a whole record with Fat Possum.
Oh,
And then I did Little Freddie King, which I mentioned, did R.L. Burnside, and then R.L.'s guitar player, Kenny Brown. And all of that's on, you know, Fat Possum stuff. I mean, those guys really kept me going for a couple of years.
And they're still around, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they're great. It's a great label. I love them.
Did you do any work with the Black Keys?
No, I didn't work with them.
Yeah, okay.
I would have loved it. You
Yeah,
know.
I know they probably much did their own thing too.
They're
but-
producers of their own music,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
They really have their own kind of vision, and you know, I don't think they have a studio. Like, there wouldn't have been much I could have brought to it except maybe co-write a song or something. But
Yeah.
I am a fan. I
Or
love
give them
it.
a Detroit guy that can be a cool person
Yeah.
to play on their record.
Exactly, something like that, man. You know,
Add the star power, man.
yeah, man.
Where did you record R.L. Burnside in Mississippi?
Okay, so R.L. lives right outside of Oxford, Mississippi. Like, you fly into Memphis, and then you take a car, you drive out of Memphis. Oxford is a college town, a lot like Ann Arbor. You know, it's
University of
yeah, it's a big
Mississippi, right?
university. Yeah. You keep going, and you get to what's called Holly Springs, and Holly Springs, Mississippi, is real outback, rural compound R.L. had it was like something out of a movie. It was so surreal. I mean, he was living in this giant double wide trailer, but then on the property there's like 3 or 4 other trailers that are like burnt to a crisp.
Wow.
I mean, they're all carbon with melted Christmas lights, and you're
Oh,
just
my
like, wow, like the trailer catches on fire and they just pull a new one and set it up next to the burnout one, And I mean, it's got like a surreal, vibe. And, then there's all these cars on cinder blocks with the hoods up, and, they're taking the batteries out and there's no wheels on the cars. And, people are coming and going all day and night because he has 14 kids that he fathered, and then all the relatives. It's just like, so you go in the trailer and there's this gigantic Sears huge refrigerator, and it has the heaviest biker chain wrapped around it you could get with a big lock on it. It's like, I've never seen a refrigerator locked like that. And he goes, it's because they'll eat everything I buy. I could buy $600 worth of food. It'll be gone in a day. Everybody's, hey, RL, what's happening? And, checks were rolling in for him at this point. When I got involved, he had some success. He was touring with the Beastie Boys. He toured with Iggy Pop and John Spencer Blues Explosion. So he was seeing some checks from royalties. He had, the theme song in The Sopranos.
Oh yeah.
It's bad, and I mean, he was rolling. So he was just trying to protect his thing. So I'd go down there, and the president of Fat Possum, he's also a music producer, Bruce Watson, we would go out to RL's compound in a pickup truck and play him some tracks we had recorded, instrumental tracks. And he'd take the mic and just freestyle to this stuff, sitting shotgun in his pickup truck. I mean, and the hit on the album is one that he freestyled in the pickup truck called "The Lazy Motherfucker Stole My Check." And I mean, I'm just sitting there going, I can't believe this is happening. This is too cool.
Yeah.
And so we got, we put the grooves together with Kenny Brown on slide guitar, his band, and his grandson, Cedric Burnside, on drums. And then we would add some Detroit guys for flavor. Jimmy Bones played a lot of keyboards on the record. And, so I would mix the tracks here and then just send them back to Fat Possum, and we got the records done like that. I'd go down there and then come back up here and put it together. We mixed a couple down there right at Fat Possum. But
now, you started, I mean, we're going to go back and ask you about your early career, but you said hi to Freddie, who's part of our crew that isn't here today, Sir Fred, and you got to meet him in the 70s because you were a backing band for John Lee Hooker. Talk about R.L. Burnside and all that. I mean, you're still talking early guys here, so give us a little bit of the early Detroit history for yourself.
I grew up in Northwest Detroit, and as my parents got divorced when I was 7, and my mother was a painter, like a really great painter, and my dad moved out, and my mom was part of the Cass Corridor art scene, and so we had all the great artists in Detroit were at our house all the time. Ed Hisson, Zubail Kachadorian, just great artists that are known throughout the world. And they were all pretty hip, music, culture, art fans that knew a lot about music. And they would give me albums. I was only 7, and they were giving me jazz albums. So I was like listening to Art Blakey and Elvin Jones and John Coltrane when I was a real young kid. And I started, just really getting into that. And my first real big hero was Gene Krupa, because he was, so marketable. He was like Elvis on drums. Mm-hmm. He just was a great showman and all that. So I started really getting into music, and then I'd listen to the radio at night. We had a big Monts Hi-Fi that, tube amplifier, and you turn that on, it would take like 2 minutes to warm up. And then I'd get on the knob and, I'd get all the stations like from the South, because at that time there wasn't a lot of, the government wasn't clamping down on how big a radio station signal could be. They could just have whatever they wanted. And some of these stations would hit Detroit at night, right out of Louisiana and Mississippi,
Wow.
Yeah. And you'd be turning in, you're in a oobop shabam and how you am, ooh shooby doo, and how are you? Daddy old radio, your platypus, your papa. And here's Slim Harpo, And I'd hear this blues stuff, and I'd be like, wow, man. And then, of course, the 60s was happening, and it was like, the Stones and the Beatles and all the great stuff on Detroit radio as well. So that was my best friend, and I just kind of immersed myself in music at that point. I get a call from a guy who's in a band from New York City. He had just moved to Ann Arbor to play the Ann Arbor Blues and Jazz Festival with a band called the Brooklyn Blues Busters. And we talk on the phone. He got my number from a mutual friend of ours, and he goes, our drummer couldn't stand Ann Arbor. It's too easy, he said. It's just, he wants to go back to New York where things are, tough and hard the way he likes it, He goes, so we need a drummer like tomorrow. And so he goes, can you come out here and audition with us? So I go out to this club called Flick's Bar in Ann Arbor, and these guys are great. I mean, it's like the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. They're really in that groove. They're really good. and, you know, or early Jay Giles, you know, when it was a blues band. And so I passed the audition, and I mean, the stories I could tell you about that night, you know, they're Three Stooges addicts. When the Three Stooges come on, they go to the end of the bar, and there's this crappy little black and white television hanging from a coat hanger from the ceiling. And they're watching, you know, oh, it's a Shemp. It's a Shemp. Oh, no, the next one's going to be a Curly episode, you know. Yeah. Oh, good, Vernon Dent's in this one. You know, it was like, I'm just going, man, these guys are like out of their minds. But I loved them, and they were older than me, and they really schooled me. And then, you know, at the end of the night, they go, okay, you got the gig. The next gig's with John Lee Hooker. You're playing with John Lee Hooker.
Hello.
You know, so I'm like right out of the basement, man. You know, and now I'm playing with John Lee Hooker. And once you play with John Lee Hooker, every Detroit blues guy wanted me.
No shit, you were that was it.
They go, well, you're going to the top, you know, and they're like, so now I'm playing with Eddie Burns, you know, I'm playing with Dr. Ross, I'm playing with Bobo Jenkins, I'm playing with Baby Boy Warren, I'm playing with Willie D. Warren, you know, I mean, on and on. Every blues guy in Detroit wanted me. So I was just kind of thrust right into that scene, you know, and it was not the usual scene for a white boy my age. At that time,
no.
You know, it wasn't. You know,
this is what, 74, 72.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's about 72. Yeah. And it's funny because some of my friends had, you know, garage rock bands, and they'd be like a block away, and they go, "Come and hear us play," and I'd go down to the house there, and there'd be like Schwinn Stingrays laying on the lawns, and they'd be in the house, you know. Gloria, Gloria. You know, I'd be like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I go, you guys got to come and see my band. You know, they come down to my house, and it'd be all Eldorados and deuce and a quarters parked down the block. They come down, it'd be like men in suits. You know, I'm a man, boy. No. You know, it'd be Eddie Burns and Willie D. Warren and those guys. And it'd be like this whole other world, you know, real smoky. Everybody's smoking cigars, and, you know. And it was like going from like a teen club to a like heavy nightclub, just, you know, a block apart from the two.
Wow.
You know, you know. So I got kind of into that world and did a lot of playing, and then, you know, ended up with Blind Pig Records, and, you know, I mean, we backed up Big Walter Horton, Johnny Shines. You know, Boogie Woogie Red, you know, they bring in Eddie Taylor. I mean, you know, we just, Otis Rush, Bo Diddley, you know, we played with everybody, you know, so I
Blind Pig said that you guys were the house band for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, we were the house band for quite a bit of stuff there for a while. And, you know, that's what got me into the blues thing, you know, and I feel very fortunate.
When did the drumming start?
Well, back when I was 7, and you know, in my home where my parents got divorced, a lot of the artists and the beatniks that were hanging out would bring me like jazz albums that were drummers sessions, like Art Blakey, Charlie Persip, Elvin Jones, and Gene Krupa. And so for some reason, I just really got hooked on drums. So then they brought me drums. All of a sudden, you know, one of my mom's friends came over and he gave me a Gretsch snare drum.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
You still got it?
No. I wish I did, though. I still have Gretsch drums, but not that set.
I hear Gretsch and Slingerland.
So are you self-taught? Or?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, yeah. And then I really got into it. Then I got the rest of the kit. And I remember I had this gigantic garter snake that I had caught off 8 Mile Road. And I traded it to a kid at school for a Zildjian ride cymbal. He wanted the snake so bad. He goes, well, what do you want? I go, well, I need a ride cymbal, and I know you got one. And so I traded the ride cymbal for a garter snake. Now I got like a full drum set, you know, and they're in my bedroom. And I've been telling my grandson, who I'll introduce you to in a minute, about that. I go, man, just set up in your bedroom, you know, and get cranking. And so it was like that, you know. I just started playing, you know, by myself, learning what I could learn, listening to the radio. And then in junior high, there was guys that I met, that played electric guitars and had equipment. And, well, let's do the school dance. And then, we played some school dances, playing the stuff that was popular at the time, Wipeout and, Del Shannon. And, and so that was like such a exciting buzz. And the art teacher there would make us drum heads. We were the Delphonics, then we were the Trespassers, and I mean, we're just little kids, playing this new music called rock and roll.
Yeah.
And, the radios, Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels, Del Shannon, Lou Christie.
All the Motown.
Yeah, all the Motown, the Four Seasons, Link Ray, so it was exciting. It was really exciting, and I look at it as kind of being my guiding light through those years.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great time for radio.
Yeah, oh my.
And everybody listened to it. I mean, so you have this commonality that is totally missing today.
Totally missing.
Yeah, you just don't have that anymore.
All those DJs were fantastic, and
yeah.
those records were so good, And then I started studying with a local drum teacher because I really wanted to get good at it, learning the rudiments, and the actual ins and outs. And his name was Gene Stewart. He was a local drummer that taught a lot of local drummers. I remember Larry. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. The drummer from Savage Grace was one of his students. And, I was like, ooh, that's a good...
Trying to think what his last name is.
Yeah, Larry somebody.
Zelenko or something?
Something like that, yeah. And then a little later on, see, I was always into jazz, too. I got an opportunity to go to Berklee School of Music in Boston for one summer course. It was like 12 weeks. And I studied with Alan Dawson, who was... He's revered in the jazz world. He taught Tony Williams and, Roy Haynes. And he was like this strict jazz drum teacher, And I learned a lot just being around that guy. And, But the blues thing called me so heavily that, I didn't do a whole lot of jazz gigs. I did play with some guys, real good jazz players. Lamont Hamilton and... Kenny Cox, Don Mayberry, Hubie Crawford, and I even played with Jerry Allen, who was one of the greatest jazz keyboard players of all time, as she passed away. But we played with Marcus Belgrave, and, he was like the dean of Detroit jazz musicians. So, I was just like soaking it all up, man. Anything I could hear that I liked, I wanted to try to figure it out.
And you had the blues down here, you had the jazz down here, you had Motown, and it was all within spitting distance. Did you go try to rub elbows when you were younger with everybody, or you just kind of just said, oh, it's just my neighbors here?
Well, no, I mean, we had what you mentioned. I mean, we had Barrett Strong down here. Him and I produced a couple records together down here. And, he was the guy with money.
Right.
And Barrett was a huge mentor to me. Tino, how'd you get so funky, man? He goes, he go, Tino, when we were doing these records at Motown, we'd have the singers up in the kitchen and recording, and all the singers were scared of the producers because the producers could all out-sing the singers. I mean, he was great, and we had the Vandellas down here.
I meant down here as in Detroit. That was my speech from, I'm up north.
Oh,
but you were surrounded in Detroit with all these acts.
Yeah.
You could literally drive around and run into them. I mean, they're all over your radio and they're all over your neighborhood. It's really wild, how much talent was here.
Well, I would say Detroit's the greatest music city in the world, and I'm not saying that lightly. You look at the jazz thing, which we've been talking about, and Don will attest, as he's now the president of Blue Note Records, the greatest jazz label there is. In the 50s and 60s, the roster of Blue Note recording artists was almost all Detroit guys. Barry Harris, Ron Carter, Elvin Jones, I mean, just on and on. And so you've got the jazz thing here. You've got the blues thing, forget about it. John Lee Hooker, guys like that. Then you've got rock and roll, unbelievable. MC5, Stooges, White Stripes, Bob Seger, all the way up till the present. Hip hop and techno. Techno's huge out of Detroit. It's invented here.
Yeah. Really.
And it goes on and on. There's country music here, rockabilly, gospel is huge, the Winans. I can't think of a bigger music city, really. And I've been to New Orleans, and that would be the closest. And Chicago, too, But I think Detroit has more variety. Detroit has every genre, and, it's just so strong here. And I think growing up here created who I am. It's you can't live here and not just soak it all in, man. And I always tell people, you could shoot a cannon off in Detroit and you're going to hit a musical genius.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been doing a series of videos on the history of Detroit rock and roll at the museum. And one of the big themes that really stress is the auto industry and how it brought all these different people from all over the place,
right,
who brought their styles of music to the Motor City. And I think it's like like a gumbo. You got all these different styles. And to me, that's what makes Detroit music distinctive.
You are 100% right.
To any other city in the world, because the effect of that is still being felt today.
Yeah. Well, that great migration is,
right.
The blacks and whites from the South.
Because that's the country music
exactly.
in Detroit. Come from and rockabilly as well.
And rockabilly, you're right. Yeah. And coming up here for better jobs and bringing that culture with them. And I tell people, like we talk about John Lee Hooker and that hit record he had called Boogie Chillin', 1948.
Yeah.
If you listen to the lyrics to that, it's really like the first punk record out of Detroit. It's so, he says, well, my mama, papa told me, son, you can't hang out here anymore. I told my mama, papa, I'm going to stay out all night anyway. He's just going to go against, he's going to chase the music. And that is so seminal because you hear that vibe all through the Stooges to the MC5 to the other blues guys, that factory, noisy, groovy, gritty Detroit thing, man. And that's just what happened when a lot of the people migrated here and got the influence of the factories and the industrial and the clubs and the little bit of money, and everybody's having a great time, and it just blew up.
Yeah.
And you are 100% right.
It's all
about
linked,
that.
man. So
well, yeah, you think of all those Fortune record releases.
Love it.
How important they were.
Yeah.
Inexpensive way to record.
Yep.
And
dirt floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I used to go there. When I got with the Brooklyn Blues Busters, they told me about Fortune. They were from New York. I was so young, I didn't know about Fortune. And they go, oh, yeah, Fortune Records, man. Nolan Strong and the Diablos, the $5, little Eddie Hurt. And they're just naming it all off. So we went to Fortune, and I would call Devorah Brown on a Sunday and just pester her. And she'd finally just relent. And she'd go, well, you seem like a nice boy. If you want to come next Sunday, Sheldon and I will be down there cleaning up and we'll let you in. So I'd be, oh my God, I get to go to Fortune. I go down there and sure enough, she'd let me in. She'd be all dressed up, like she's on the Donna Reed show or something. And Sheldon would be down there with a broom poking the ceiling tiles and all this dust is coming down. And I'd be looking at the place, and it was like the Twilight Zone, Yeah. And she'd start talking about the comeback. We're going to bring it back. We've talked to Nolan. We're going to bring Fortune Records back. Tell all your friends. I'm like going, wow, she's so awesome, because she wrote half those songs, too. She was a great songwriter. And I'd start going behind the wall paneling. This buckling from being, warping and everything. You put your hands back there and there'd be 45s behind the paneling in the wall. You pull out, Can't We Talk This Over by Nolan Strong and the Diablos. She go, well, you're a nice boy. That'll be $1. And I got a ton of Fortune records out of there. Just going down there and hanging out with her, listening to the stories, and but yeah, what they created is untouchable. Some of the greatest records ever out of Detroit.
What an education, man.
Yeah.
It was like school.
Oh, such good stuff.
Well, it's so cool that, that I'm sure you've seen the book Mind Over Matter.
Yeah.
The history of Fortune Records.
I'm in it, in the back. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mike Hurt.
Yeah.
Great job. That's one of the greatest books about music ever written.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. I love that
the
book.
amount of work to collect all the photos and
incredible.
Yeah, it's an amazing collection.
Yeah. No, I love that book. And, Peter Wolf with the Jay Giles Band, he was another guy who, you meet these guys out there when you're doing shows and opening. We opened for Jay Giles 4 times. And one of the things that Wolf would always want to talk about was Fortune Records and how amazing it was and influential to those guys in Boston. Mm-hmm. And that the Wind to his ears was the greatest doo-wop record ever made.
Yeah.
And Nolan Strong was the greatest singer. And you just go, wow, man, that music touched a lot of people.
Yeah, fantastic.
You had Howling Diablos. Diablos come straight from that name, or
well,
give us the story about how did it all start with the Howling Diablos?
Well, the Howling Diablos was Johnny Evans, saxophone player, and I. We were both playing in another band called the Urbations, and I was the drummer. Johnny was the alto sax player, and the band had like a New Orleans front line of 3 sax players. Had baritone, tenor, and alto. It was just mighty. And then, drums, bass, guitar, and organ. And we had a great front man, Danny Mulholland. And John Sinclair had been coming to see me play a lot with Willie D. Warren. We had a great blues band, progressive blues band it was called, featuring Willie D. Warren. And Sinclair was running this thing called the Jazz Center down on Cass and Elizabeth in a building there. And members of the Urbation horn section would play like in jazz things down there, like big bands and stuff. And he got to know those guys. When their drummer quit or got fired, I don't know what happened, he immediately said to me, hey, I know a cool band that needs a drummer. And I got the gig with these guys. And it led to a relationship with me and Johnny that when the Urbations broke up, we just decided to keep going and put something together. We weren't really like that focused on with a big grand vision or anything. It was just like, well, let's just keep doing stuff. And the way it started out, I was the drummer in the band in the early days. Johnny would do some of the singing. And then if a drummer showed up, we'd put him on drums and go let Tino come out and he can do some stuff too, And it was like that. And we started doing it, and we got in this little place. We had done Sully's as a band, and Jimmy there at Sully's just put us on every show. We opened for everybody, and, it was crazy, man.
What a fabulous place that was.
Yeah, so we're playing with, opening for Lonnie Mack and Dion and the NRBQ and Leon Russell and, Hubert Sumlin, Bo Diddley, all these people. And so we started getting like a real good following with that crowd over there, which was like a sort of an older blues crowd, but, young people would go there too. But then we got this other gig on a Sunday night at this crazy bar in Berkeley. It was an old biker bar called the Bear's Den. And we started getting more funky and doing more just like crazier type stuff that wasn't just blues, All of a sudden, man, we just had this explosion of kids, like really young. They saw us kind of like in a Grateful Dead, Black Crowes world of, they were all coming out with big poles with tape recording mics, and they're
taping shows.
Yeah, taping our shows, and it's wall to wall packed, and that exploded for us. So now we're like, okay, we're the Howling Diablos, and we're getting our own sound together. And then Dave Leone, the legendary Detroit manager from, he managed Alice Cooper, Ted Nugent, Quiet Riot,
Bob Seger. Pleasure Seekers.
You know Dave Leone.
The Hideout.
The Hideouts. Yeah. This guy was huge. He walks into this little club, sees us, and loses his mind. He goes, I haven't seen anything like this since the Grandy Ballroom. This is the same kind of energy, the same kind of, the fan base is just going nuts. This is what we're looking for. So he became our manager. And Dave just believed in us. He was like one of the band almost, And so he got on the phone with all his contacts from previous years in the biz, Nick Karras in New York and stuff like that. And all of a sudden now we're opening for Alice Cooper. We're opening for the Scorpions. We're doing like Sheds as an opening act. And it was just so exciting, getting a guy like Dave behind us, because it makes a huge difference. And we had a great show. It was something that people were really digging. And those were great years.
You couldn't go anywhere in the 90s without running into you guys. Anywhere. Yeah. In every paper and every opening act, you guys would be either down the road or on the bill. Yeah. It was wild. I saw you guys so many times on.
So yeah.
That's when I was first getting out, going to a lot of concerts. And, and the jam band thing fit well because I was going to Allman Brothers and Government Mule and stuff like that. And you guys were at the ones that were Black Crows-ish type stuff, and you guys were hanging around it,
We were in that world, and the crazy thing is the keyboard player for the Black Crows,
Eddie
Harsch, was playing with us before he sort of got in the Black Crows. And that was a good story, because he's like, Tino, have you ever heard of a band called the Black Crows? This is true. And I'm like, Ed, yeah, I just actually bought their record, Shake Your Moneymaker. He goes, well, what do they sound like? I go, it's really good stuff, man. It's like rock and bluesy, and I think they're great. Why? Why are you asking? He goes, well, the famous keyboard player that plays with the Stones.
Chuck Leavell.
He goes, Chuck Leavell can't play the album, but he can't do the tour. So he needs a guy to go on tour. And he's recommended me because Eddie had played with Albert Collins, and Chuck Leavell knew him from that.
Ah,
yeah.
That's how that.
And that's how we met Eddie. I met Eddie when he was with Albert Collins, and James Cotton. He played with James Cotton too, and so we're like, "I'm Eddie. Yeah, they're really good." He goes, "Yeah, I don't know a thing about them. Chuck Leavell said I should check them out, so I'm going to go down to Atlanta and audition with them, right?" So I see Eddie a week later. I go, Eddie, what happened? How'd that audition go? He goes, Tino, man. He goes, it's the weirdest thing. I go down there, they're shooting a video for MTV, and the whole band's ignoring me. He goes, not one band member would even walk over and say hello. And I flew down there on my own dime. He goes, I was getting so pissed off. I go, he's way older than them, and he's looking at them like little punks, little snotty little rock star brats, Mm-hmm. And he goes, I'm heading for the door, going to split back to Detroit when the roadie grabs me. He goes, dude, don't leave. He goes, I'm sorry. He goes, I know, they're like assholes sometimes. He goes, we're all going to the strip bar from here. He goes, just come to the strip bar. Trust me. So Eddie goes, okay. So he goes to the strip bar, and there's like these big tables all joined together, and the whole band and the crew, everybody's sitting there. And these locals get into some kind of, fracas with one of the Black Crows. Unfortunately, it was, the bass player, Johnny Colt, who was like a master, like Navy SEAL fighter type guy. And punches get thrown, tables get thrown over. It's just like in a movie, Eddie says. He goes, the whole place is just throwing fists and throwing chairs and bottles and tables, and girls are running, screaming. And he goes, I just jumped in and started swinging on the locals, alongside the band. What else am I going to do? And he goes, when it's all over, they're all around me like children, just going, "We love you, dude. You are such a badass. You stood up and stood there with us and threw punches with us. And by the way, we think you're a genius on keyboards. You want to be in this band?"
Oh, that's the story, huh?
That's the story. It's in the drummer's book too.
Gorman's book, yeah.
Exactly how
he
I
didn't
told
even
it.
play, right?
Nope. They just go, "We love you. You're one of us, man." You know, because he showed so much heart. And so all of a sudden now Eddie, our guy, is in the Black Crowes, and so when he's not with them, he's playing with us, the Howling Diablos, and we're at the Bears Den, and all the hippie kids that follow this stuff, they walk in and they see Eddie from the Black Crowes playing with us, and they're losing their minds, you know, "Oh my God," you know, and it was just a magical thing. You know, the crowd would just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you know, Eddie was like actually a part of that. You know, he's on the records, he played with us, and you know, unfortunately he's passed away. And
I'm glad you told this story.
yeah,
He's the one we would be looking for too.
That's how he got in the band. I mean, he told me that story. And I was like, man, that is classic rock and roll right there, you know.
Now you were a front man for most of it though, towards the end, right?
Yeah, no, I was the front man through. Yeah, I mean
almost all of it.
All of it,
I can remember.
except the first maybe 3 months or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you know whatever.
Amazing.
A few months. Yeah.
What a story! I forgot about that. They used to call him Old Weird Ed, Chris Robinson.
Because he's so much older than them.
Yeah.
You know, I think he was like a good 15, 20 years older than those guys. Like he was 38, 39 when they were 18, 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
What a story.
Crazy. And they looked up to him like they never thought of him as anything but our genius. You know, he's the only guy in this band that really knows how to play. That's how they would always address his presence, you know. It was never anything but, we know this guy is a genius, you know. And he was.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie was an incredible keyboard player.
When's the first time you played with him?
The first time, wow, that's a good one. So I would play down at the soup kitchen all the time with Willie D. Warren, and then James Cotton would come through, and Eddie would be on keys with James Cotton.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we got to know each other. And then all of a sudden he'd come through. Now he's with Albert Collins. And we did shows with Albert Collins and the Urbations. And I recall meeting Eddie, and there was a night the drummer didn't show up for Albert Collins. He's a great Chicago drummer. I'm trying to remember his name. And I jumped in on drums. And I almost had to go to an ear doctor after that, because Albert Collins has this Fender amp with the 410s in it, the speakers, the high, treble on 10.
Yeah.
And
ice pick in your ear.
You know what I'm talking about.
Man.
And he hits those high notes. Yeah. And it's right by the floor tom. I'm on the drums, man. And it like almost blew my head off. But then Eddie and I became friends, and it was with the Diablos that he started. I knew him. I knew him from Albert Collins and James Cotton, and then he moved to Detroit. That was it. He got a place here, and he was seeing a girl here, and
so was he Chicago before that?
Toronto.
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't know
Eddie's
that.
from Toronto. Yeah,
okay.
Eddie's from Toronto, and so we got him in the Diablos as like our keyboard player, and he, you got to go off Saturday with those guys, the Black Crowes. Well, okay, we'll get by without you, and then he'd be back and on keys with us. So he was in like both bands.
Forgot about that whole time period.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, it was really exciting, man. And I was a huge fan of the Black Crowes, still am. I mean, great band, man. Incredible. Yeah.
So what happened with the Howling Diablos? Are you still...
Yeah.
You still get together and play?
Well, not like we did. What happened was guys got called in to do some other gigs, and then ended up getting, like Johnny got the call to go play with Kid Rock, which originally was more of a substitute for Dave McMurray. But then Dave got another gig with a guy in France, the French Elvis. I'm trying to think of that guy's name.
Johnny Halliday?
Yeah, Johnny Halliday. Dave got with Johnny Halliday. So Johnny Evans stayed with Kid Rock. And then, I started finding other saxophone players to fill in. And then, other guys started doing other things. And we said, let's just everybody go do some other stuff for a while and, let everybody find, some new experiences, which is always a great thing in music. Yeah, that's how I started the Dumpster Machine, actually.
Okay, so Dumpster Machine came before Funky D Records?
No, it came during Funky D Records, yeah. And so last fall, the Detroit Cobras couldn't play the DIY festival in Ferndale, which is a pretty big festival. And so the promoter called me up. He goes, I think the only band that could draw enough to, make this a headline show would be the Howling Diablos. Is there any chance? And I was just in the right mood to call everybody. And we went over there, and it was magic. We played a show that, there was a couple thousand people out there in the street, and everybody's singing all the lyrics. It was, it was like it was 1999, and so it was so much fun. So I could definitely see it happening again.
Yeah.
Just because that was so great,
So did the Diablo's name come peeling from Nolan Straw?
No, not really.
Just it was your own thing, okay.
Yeah, that came up later. We were like, oh, yeah, well, there's the Diablos on Fortune. But I think we were just like, okay, well, it's too late now. We're Howling Diablos. Let's just roll,
Really cool.
It's like that,
It's pure Michigan, man.
Yeah. We didn't think about it too hard. We just like that. Howling Diablos.
That's
sounded
perfect.
good, yeah. Totally.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Then Fat Possum came calling right after that, or was it during that time?
It was during that time. The Diablos were rolling pretty strong, and Fat Possum was like 2005.
Yeah.
And I was driving down I-75, and I turn on the radio, and I hear this R.L. Burnside remix. I think it was the one that was in The Sopranos. It's bad, And I'm just going, this is the coolest thing I ever heard. I pulled my car over, and I'm just sitting on the service drive listening to that, just going, wow, this is really cool. I had no idea, what it was or anything. And then it was on WDET, and they said, that's R.L. Burnside, and that's a remix thing. I was so blown away. And this is how the Lord works in mysterious ways. And then about 2 weeks later, my friend Jimmy Bones, keyboard player, he's playing with Kid Rock, and they're down south somewhere near Mississippi doing a big concert. And some of the Fat Possum guys are there backstage. I think it was Paul Wine Jones, and I think maybe Junior Kimbrough and a couple guys from the label, and they were just hanging out. And Matthew Johnson from Fat Possum and Bruce Watson were there, and they asked Jimmy Bones, do you know anybody that has a good understanding of blues, but also has some hip-hop skills and some remix skills? And so he goes, yeah, Tino Gross. He tells him my name, and I'm like, all of a sudden getting calls from the label, and I was like, oh my God, this is too cool. So they said, you want to do an R.L. Burnside remix? We'll send you his vocals and a little check just to see if you can get it, I'm like, wow. So they send me the vocals, and I do this little remix, and it was called My Baby, something about my baby went to the hairdresser, and it was actually pretty cool, but I didn't think much about it. I was like, this isn't going to fly. I sent it down there, and boom, the phone lights up. That's exactly what we're looking for, man. You want to do the whole album? I'm like, wow, okay, And so we worked that out, and I did the entire R.L. Burnside record, and it was well received, and it kind of opened the door for me as a producer too in a lot of ways, because then I'm getting calls from, you know, another guy we did, Ivan Krall, did his whole record down here. Ivan, you know, he was from New York. He was with Patti Smith. Mm-hmm. You're probably hip to Ivan. He was living in Ann Arbor. He passed away. But we did his whole album for Warner Brothers down here. And I asked him, you know, why are you doing your record here with me? I mean, I'm just curious. He goes, because I heard that R.L. Burnside stuff. You know, it opened a lot of doors, is what I'm saying, you know. So then I got into the Fat Possum world, you know, and got to do, you know, like 3-4 other records and play with some of the other artists, and have remained friends. And I just went and saw Cedric Burnside, R.L.'s grandson, was at the Magic Bag. So we took the whole family out to see him. Him and I reconnected, and, you know, we're talking about, maybe we'll get together and do something. So
I think I see Cedric's first show here in Michigan.
Yeah.
He was with North Mississippi All-Stars.
Yeah.
He was jamming on guitar with my second guitar player.
Nice.
And they introduced me to him after the show, because every time they come around with Government Mule, I was doing the Government Mule video train.
I did.
For Warren and Woody and Matt Epps. And North Mississippi All-Stars came up to Majestic.
Yeah.
Or no, St. Andrews Hall was their first show.
Yeah.
And then next time they came around, we saw him in Pontiac, a small little place, just to go hang with them.
Yeah.
And Cedric was there that night.
Now, I'm thinking you mean Dwayne Burnside.
Oh, am I mixing them up?
Yeah.
I met Dwayne too, so.
Yeah, because Dwayne was in the North Mississippi All-Stars for a while.
It was Dwayne.
Yeah.
He asked me for pictures of the show so we could take him to show RL.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic, man. I mean, RL had 14 kids.
Yeah, man.
You know, and they all played,
it was
too.
Dwayne.
Yeah.
Man, my mind's so
there's a lot of talent in that family, man. Incredible amount. Yeah.
Something else.
Yeah.
Oof. Where else have
Funky D Records, okay.
Yeah. Funky D Records. So that is my wife Lexi and I started the label together, and she has a lot of history in the music business too as a DJ. She worked on a lot of soul stations, and she has a real good musical taste, and so we just it was kind of like a result of the R.L. Burnside stuff too, because then so many people were calling me to work on records, and a lot of it, if there's no way to get it out, it's almost like, oh, what a shame, why did you make a record and nobody's putting it out? So we're like, we could put these things out ourselves. And so we just worked really hard. She promotes all the live shows. Like if we play like Magic Bag or whatever, she's the MC and promotes the shows. And, so we built Funky D Records together. The logo was me and my daughter, Melanie, Carter's aunt. And, we sat on the computer and took our dog's head, Nigel, our Cocker Spaniel, and we just like, he's a badass, so it's Funky D Records, And we started out with some real cool young bands. The Royal Blackbirds were really, really amazing. And their bass player is still with me, Dennis Burke. He's in the Dumpster Machine. And, so we've been, we've hammered it away. And now we actually got it to the point now where we got worldwide distribution through the Orchard, which is part of Sony.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you how you distributed the product. Yeah.
That's brand new. We just got that.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a huge thing, to get that. Because that's part of what's tough about it is you can make a record, but getting people to know about it and have access to it.
Yeah, right.
It's hard. So yeah, things are going great. We've got the label. We got a great back catalog of a lot of good records, and we're going to do some more fresh ones coming up. So
did you form the Dumpster Machine as your own band that record on Funky D Records thing.
Exactly.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the Dumpster Machine.
Well, Dumpster Machine is a project I did after the Howling Diablos to just keep, because I'm a songwriter and I can't stop writing songs, and I write all these songs, and I'm like, I gotta keep going with these, you know, and I love to play, and so I was able to find guys that I'd worked with on other Funky D band projects, you know, like Jeremy Knaus is a drummer who I met. He played drums on 2 different Funky D releases. One was the Long Neck Stranglers, this incredibly great country rock band out of Detroit with one of the best singers I've ever heard. He was in his 20s, Ricky, and he died. He had like a stroke in his garage or something. I don't know what happened to him, but Jeremy was the drummer, and then another drummer who also was the drummer for Bootsy X and the Love Masters, Vito, also wrote songs and became a singer, and so he used Jeremy to be his drummer, and then Vito died, and so I got to know Jeremy, you know, and I really love his drumming. And so when I got Dumpster Machine going, I got Dennis from the Royal Blackbirds, who's recorded here. He's like practically lived here. And then I've got Jeremy on drums from previous Funky D projects. And then Mike Smith on guitar, who also has played a lot here. He was in the Diablos as well. And then for backups, we're using Kimberly Wright and Erin Marie, who actually ended up marrying Dennis. So, you know, it's all like family.
Yeah.
And you know, Kimberly sings with Straight Ahead, the all-girl jazz group with Galen McKinney, and you know, they're just so high level. And then we'd use, you know, Jimmy Bones on keyboards. Johnny B would always guest on a couple tracks on drums, and you know, Jeremy was like, oh yeah, let B play, you know. I mean, we just have this family thing. Garrett Bolanek on lead guitar, fantastic lead guitar player, who played with the Alice Cooper thing, the Detroit Stories album. Garrett's
we
on
also
that.
saw him with you at the MC5 thing at the Blind Pig.
And he was with us on the MC5
I talked
thing.
to him about being on the show.
Yeah, and you know, so it's just like, it was like a natural thing. I didn't have to like search too hard.
Yeah.
The guys were there, and I was recording. I go, well, you want to play on these new songs I'm doing? Yeah, okay. And then I would get a gig. I go, why don't we go do these? Okay, you know, and we'd go out and play. And the first Dumpster Machine gig was at PJ's Lager House, and we opened for John Sinclair as we were releasing his new album on Funky D Records. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like a whole Funky D review.
Yeah, nice.
And I debuted the new band. Lexi was the MC. And so it's like a family thing. And speaking of family, my grandson,
right,
Carter's here. And he's been like hammering on these drums. He's 16 years old, but he's got a great feel. And, you know, he's been jumping up with these projects. Like, he's been on stage with the Diablos since he was like, what, Carter, about
like
4?
4 years old.
Yeah.
The Concert of Colors.
Yeah.
That's when I first got on. And that was like the biggest one.
Yeah.
I think like 2,000 people were there.
Yeah.
And like in the middle of a song, like my grandparents, they were all looking at me like, go out there. I had a little harmonica and my flip-flops, and I just walked out there, and the crowd went crazy. But they didn't know I came out there. He just thought they were going crazy for no reason. But it's this little me. They couldn't even hear me playing the harmonica, but it was just the fact that I came up there, and I was excited.
You got that vibe then to get on stage and get in front of people too.
Yeah, I've been doing it a lot. Like, I mean, there's been a couple times when I was younger where I would start just like crying on stage.
A little scary.
A little scary.
Yeah,
like, that's legit.
It's normal.
But like, it was like playing the drums one time. I think it was like the Go Gene Go song we were talking about, because that was like my main song I would go up on there for, because I would play the drums with them up front. And one day I just thought, apparently all the old ladies wanted to kiss me.
Oh.
That was the thought. And I I don't think I was wrong, but not in the context people were thinking. But I just freaked out. It was on video. It's on YouTube somewhere. It was pretty rough. But I moved on from it.
So you play a lot of shows then?
Yeah, a good amount, but it's been a while. I mean, I think last time I played was like 2019.
Yeah, COVID kind of put the brakes on a lot of that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a summer thing I like to do. I come here. Yeah. I live over in South Carolina.
That's what I was just going to ask you.
Yeah, I come here. I fly over here. I stay with them for a few weeks, do a couple shows. But, you know, I wasn't able to come last year or the year before. So this summer, we're kind of getting things back on track.
Yeah.
Did you guys go to the Concert of Colors this past weekend?
Yeah, it was really fun.
That was great.
Did you play?
Are you in a band in South Carolina?
No, I'm not. There's not.
Is that a thing in high school anymore, where it used to be such a big deal?
Right.
Forming bands.
I asked him that exact
Not
question.
so much anymore.
Not so much anymore. I mean, we have like little like artists who like try to build themselves up on like social media now. Like they'll have like TikTok people who will like try to make a name for themselves, but not too many bands I see.
Yeah. But he's been just really progressing on drums, and you know, we record together, him and I, and I see him as like carrying the torch, you know. Yeah. And all the Detroit musicians know Carter now. You know, they've seen him jump up with my various projects, and you know, we're supposed to go fishing with Johnny B this weekend, and you know, Johnny B being, you know, our elder drum wizard, you know, great grandpa, you know, so he's, you know, he gives Carter some pointers too. So
it's awesome.
Yeah. So really. He's taking good advantage of all the Detroit
all
talent.
kinds of great contacts here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Did you guys get to play at the Concert of Colors over the weekend?
Not this year. No. We just went to support it.
Okay.
But we've played on it a lot, you know. Don is great. I mean, he's had me in the Diablos or other things I've done, and you know, he's included us on so many things. And that also, by the way, led us to create a television show that we now have.
Just gonna ask
Tales from the D.
Tales from the D.
Yeah, I certainly wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, and Don, without hesitation, agreed to be one of our first guests. And you know, and the show, for people that don't know, it's like a musician talk show, you know, like kind of the way we're talking, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not real slick. It's just basically musicians talking about music, and then we do a song with the guest, with the Funky D All Stars, the guys I'm talking about. We back them up, and then we worked hard on this show. It's Tony D'Annunzio is the producer,
right? Louder Than Love,
and he, you know, Louder Than Love, the movie about the Grandy Ballroom. And Tony shot a lot of the videos for the bands on Funky D Records. So there's like 4 videos at least he shot here for bands, you know. So Tony and I were always doing stuff together, and we said, what if we did a television show? You know. And well, who could we get? And Don God bless him, you know. He agreed to do one, and we just were winging it, you know. We got a crew together, and the show came out so good. Dave McMurray's on flute, and Dennis from the Dumpster Machines on bass. I'm on drums on that one. Don's playing keyboards and singing.
Keyboards.
Yeah. And
that's
I mean,
cool.
It's so cool. We used that to create interest, you know, and get a sponsorship. And then we were able to get Chevrolet stepped up and wrote us, you know, a budget check to shoot more episodes, and we did 3 more, one with Dennis Coffey, one with Johnny B, and one with Dave McMurray. So we got rock and roll, funk, blues, and jazz, you know, a little bit of everything. And PBS picked it up. So it showed on DPS Detroit, Detroit Public TV rather, through the month of March, I think, March or April.
Yeah.
And now we're ready to shoot more episodes.
Where do you produce
us.
The show? Is this a studio? It must be in a studio, right?
Yeah, we've been shooting the live episodes at the Detroit Historical Museum. And they were kind enough to let us use that phenomenal space. You Rebecca and Lisa and Elena. They're the ladies that run that place, and they were just so cool to us to bring us in and shoot the episodes there, film it, camera crew, all that, do an interview. So we'll probably continue like that, shooting it there and then getting it on PBS and airing it.
What's the holdup right now?
Political, It's like the administration has just clawed back $1 billion some dollars that was already approved for public television and public radio. That's us. That's where the show lives.
Yeah, they do what they want.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden, and then the tariffs as well, auto companies like Chevrolet, Ford, people that are writing checks to us are a little nervous about, well, what is going on? So we are asking people to support those, support public television, support public radio with your own donations, and we will not lose it. We'll keep it. And that's what we got to do. We can't just let it go away. But it's frustrating to have worked 5 years on this show. Yeah. And then as soon as we get it on public television, guess what? We're pulling the plug on public television, So I'm not here to be political and get too worked up, but that's not cool. And you've got to support public television if you love great music and culture and art. And
that's where the music is, right?
That's where the music is, man. Let's be honest. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm just saying this to people. I feel so strongly about it,
Well, you're not alone.
No.
God bless them, We got to keep our music alive.
Yeah. The public whole thing is, I was talking to B actually the other day about it. He said to ask you about it. He said the same thing.
Yeah, right. So, but we're plowing ahead. We're positive. It's looking like it's going to survive. And we'll be back with more episodes.
Good.
Tales from the D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
I just hope Delta College would pick it up.
I do too.
We have our own public
Do you?
TV station, that kind of serves the Tri-Cities, Saginaw Bay City and Midland. But, I'm sure they're going to be affected,
right?
By this, just like everybody else is across the country.
The other thing I wanted to give a plug to or let people be aware of is Wayne Kramer, before he passed away, was real active with an organization called Jail Guitar Doors. And that's where they take guitars and put them in the hands of incarcerated guys, that are locked up. And the idea is to give them something to humanize them more and make them more a part of society and less of outsider threats to society. It's like a way to bring people back into the world in a human way. And anybody that knows Wayne's story, he got locked up for drugs. He did a lot of time. So he's talking to guys he understands, and it's a really beautiful project. Now, Wayne passed away, and he had reached out to me one day, and he goes, Tino, he goes, I'm gonna put a calling upon you. He goes, I want you to be the Michigan head of our chapter for Jail Guitar Doors. And I was just like stunned of what is that? What are you talking about? He goes, you're gonna go into the prisons. He goes, we've got Fender guitars donating the instruments to the convicts. We're gonna go in there, put a crew together of Detroit guitarists, musicians, and we're going to go in and teach convicts how to play guitar and write songs, and I got to tell you, Wayne came to the first day. We did 16 weeks at the Ryan Correctional Facility. Then we went to Ionia. And you go into these penitentiaries and it is so heavy, man, to meet these guys. And, at first they're staring at you, and it's all the respect issue. And, Wayne was there the first day, and he goes, look, this is all about music and respect. He goes, any gang problems or beefs or, any of that kind of nonsense, you leave it outside this room. He goes, we're coming in here as brothers to respect one another and play music. I've been in your situation. I've been locked up, so I know what it's all about behind the walls, And he kind of broke the ice, and then we started jamming with the guys, and man, some of these guys were so talented, it would just break your heart, to go, if you just hadn't have done that one stupid thing that one day and got yourself locked up for murder, because most of our guys were in for murder, and I go, you could have done a lot with music, because you're a great singer, you're a great lyricist, you're a great guitar player. So the idea is to give them something to do to just tone down the hostility. And in America, we sort of warehouse prisoners. We build these jails, and there's just more and more, and we're just warehousing people, And so Wayne actually, believed in this project, as much as anything in his lifetime. And I just want to tell people that, you go to jailguitars.org, and you can find out more about it, make a donation. I'm still a part of it. Funky D Records is a part of it. And it was one of the most fulfilling things I ever did was, going into these prisons, meeting these guys. And I mean, we would say, okay, today's topic is forgiveness. And each guy gets a piece of paper and a pencil. And all right, you got 5 minutes, write down something, and we're going to take a line from everybody and create a song out of it. And then that's going to be our co-write together. And these guys would, okay, Vito, what do you got? And this guy would stand up and, he'd go, you're my daughter. I'm sorry I missed your high school graduation. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your wedding. I'm sorry I wasn't there to see your baby born. Your second baby born. I love you so much. Is there any way you could forgive me for not being in your life? And I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm like in tears, I'm just like, this is so heavy. These cats are really putting it on the line. And we would take those lines, a little bit of each guy off his sheet of lyrics that they just wrote, and we put it all together and write this song, And then at the end of like 16 weeks, we did a concert with a bunch of songs that we all wrote in that fashion, with those guys. And I mean, it was just one of the heaviest experiences I've ever had, going into the prisons and supporting and representing jail guitar doors. So
yeah, and Wayne got into that quite a bit in his book, The Hard Stuff.
Yes, great book.
Yeah, really. Yeah, bared his soul on that one.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So I mean, it was his passion, and he was a great friend of ours. So support jailguitardoors.org. It's well worth it. Yeah.
Wow. So what's on the horizon?
On the horizon, so I'm wrapping up a Dumpster Machine record right now. We're going to do some more episodes of Tales from the D. I'm also trying to finish an album by an artist who was recording here, and he died right while we were making his album. His name was James Cloyd. He's a bass player, a really good songwriter and vocalist. And we haven't almost completed his record, and I would like to get that one out. It's really good. And there could be some things happening too with some other artists that I've been talking to. I don't want to spill the beans now, but there's a lot of good things coming from Funky D Records, and just stay tuned. And
could you possibly have any old tapes or reels of you and the Johnny Hooker days you can release on the label or anything?
No, I mean, I would love that. I mean, with Hooker, it was there weren't cell phones, there was no internet. I mean, somebody would have had to have been out there, you know, with a little tape recorder.
They're real.
And there probably is somewhere somebody did do that.
That'd be cool.
You know, but I'm not aware of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But playing with Hooker was phenomenal. Now, there are some good albums on Blind Pig that I'm on with, like Big Walter Horton and Johnny Shines and, you know, some real heavy blues cats like that are now, you know, available. But the Hooker stuff, no, I never did see any recordings. But now this, since you mentioned that, I sat in with Bob Dylan at the Fox Theater one night. He had me play guitar with him, and it was a great moment. I mean, I'd been friends with his bass player for 20 years, Tony Gagne, and so I would go to their shows quite often and, you know, kind of help the band out if they needed this or that when they would roll to town. So I go into the Fox lobby one night, and Bob's manager goes, "Tino, Bob wants you to sit in tonight. I'm glad you're here. We're looking all over for you." I'm going, "Wait a minute. What did you say?" He goes, "Bob wants you to sit in tonight on guitar."
No doubt.
Yeah. So, I mean, how does this happen? You know, so they go, "Yeah, we got a beautiful amplifier set up for you. You're going to have a Fender Stratocaster. Come on backstage." I go backstage, and they tell me, they go, "Okay, Bob's going to play half his set. Then they're going to come off. They're going to do some acoustic stuff without all the electric. And then when they come back out as electric, just walk out with them with your guitar."
Okay.
I'm like, wow. And he goes, he wants to do Dust My Broom by Elmore James, key of E. I'm like, oh my God, pinch me, man. I can't believe we're doing this. So he goes, when he looks at you, solo. He goes, just keep soloing. He goes, then when he looks at you again, stop soloing. That's it. That's all I was told. You know? Which
so
was,
are you playing the slide on this?
No, I didn't play slide because I didn't know I didn't even know I was going to be playing that night, so I didn't have a slide. You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
Just standard tuning and, you know, E. And so...
That's awesome.
I go out there and we do this, and people jump up and they're dancing in the aisles. And he gives me this, and when it's over, he gives me this kind of fun little, introduction to the crowd. And the next day, my phone's ringing off the hook, you know, and it's all the local music writers, and they're just like going, "Who the hell are you? You know, what the hell are you doing on stage with Bob Dylan?" You know, it was great.
What year was that?
That was 91 or 93. I'm not sure which.
Nice.
Yeah, and so what I was going to get at was somebody reached out to me that says they have a recording of that.
Oh man.
Oh, you would want to have that for sure.
I can't even believe it because there's no photos.
You know, it was pre-cell phone.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh my God, I would love to hear that. You know, just for that, just to go, wow, you know,
what a moment, sure.
Playing with Bob Dylan, man. Yeah. But hey, that's what I love about life is that you wake up each day and you got to stay excited because you don't know what's around the corner.
That's right. Could be a big surprise.
You never know, man. Yeah. Enjoy every day and love living it. And support Detroit and Michigan music.
Yeah, you got it.
Keep it rolling, man.
Tino Gross, thank you for having us over.
Oh man, so great.
Guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. I love it. Thank
awesome.
You. Thank
wow. Wow. What a great end.
On behalf of our hosts, we would like to thank the Michigan Rock Legends Hall of Fame, our guests, and especially our listeners. The MMHP is found on the 989 network, as well as all familiar podcast hubs. Up-to-the-minute information, as well as Dr. J and Sir Fred's Michigan Music Songs of the Week, can be found on the MMHP's Facebook page, /MMHP989. You can connect with Scott at scottbakermusic.com, Dr. J at michiganrockandrolllegends.com, Sir Fred at fredrife.com, and Mr. Mike on YouTube as MRBTEE1.
And on behalf of Dr. J, Sir Fred, Mr. Mike, and myself,